But let's say the actual song lyrics. Why do you think they touch people?
I think because Mexico is still in touch with its roots, its dark traditions, its history, which is steeped in blood, much like the Scots. I think Mexicans are similar to Scottish people in that we still appreciate the dirt, what I call the dirt, which is where you come from. Your dirt. And I think maybe that's why. There's a lot of, in America, sometimes I live in Los Angeles and I can be speaking and I can sense that the people I'm speaking to are really uncomfortable with me sort of being very forthright. And I don't experience that here. I don't experience it with the journalists, I don't experience it with the fans, and so I think it's just plain speaking that goes on, and I love that.
Growing up in Scotland, we have a similar story. We went to the same school.
I know, how crazy is that? We went to the same high school, although I was at least 25 years ahead of Thomas.
But what was school years like?
Well, school years at the school that you went to were miserable. I hated school. I had just gone into a really rebellious phase when I hit high school. I got bullied pretty badly by a really tough, big girl that freaked me out. And it just turned me off school. I had been an amazing student, and then I just went the other direction. I stopped going to school, really, pretty much. So,
what were you doing then?
none of your business. Nothing good, let me tell you that.
Were you a wild child?
I was a bit of a wild child, and I will just explain it very briefly by saying that my mother, who was an amateur singer, during my teenage years lost her voice, like literally lost her singing voice because I stressed her out so much. So I think that basically encapsulates everything that you need to know about my wild teenage years.
Today there's so much mainstream music. Do you think artists are afraid to take risks and staying true to themselves to be able to sell records?
To be honest, I don't think it's so much that people are afraid to take risks. What I think is happening is it's the artists who don't take risks who are being rewarded. People who conform are being rewarded. And that's very different from the era that I grew up in the 90s, where the artists who were non-conforming were the ones who were getting a lot of attention. But that only happened very briefly. It's the first time in musical history it happened in some ways, except maybe at the very, very beginning with Elvis. And then it's never happened since. It's become very pop-orientated, and pop generally attracts the conformists.
Also, how the music business has transformed in the last 20 years.
I don't think you do have to sell sex to sell records, but women have been conditioned into believing that if they sell their sex, they've got a higher chance of survival. And that is the problem. There's a construct in place that implies that if women are not fuckable, they're not sellable. And for the most part, the record heads of major record labels are male, and they want to look at something pretty. And I've often heard executives say, "Oh yeah, she's a great singer, but she looks like the back of a bus." And that is, in their mind, an excuse as to why they shouldn't sign this incredible artist, So there's definitely a pressure on women, I think, still, to conform to those sort of stereotypical binary ideas of how women are supposed to look.
How have you dealt with that pressure?
I don't know, I was always a bit of a rebel in that regard. I resented being expected to be sexy because I was a female, and I fought that at every turn, and I fought it even when I was a young teenager. And I was just lucky in that the climate that I entered into in the 90s was welcoming alternative perspectives from women. If I came out now, I wouldn't have a chance in hell. I wouldn't get on the board. But I came out in the 90s and I did have a chance, and it was a time when they wanted rebellious women, and they got them in spades. There were so many of us, there's a whole glut of women who we all sold millions of records and enjoyed an incredible run. And then September 11th happened. This is my view, I'm not saying I'm right, but this is my sort of theory, is that September 11th came, and in that moment they stopped playing women on the radio. And that actually is fact. Because we were told, oh, such and such is no longer playing women on the radio anymore. So, there you go. There you have it.
Last week, we spoke about this yesterday, you posted a photo of yourself, a beautiful picture, and you said that at the time, you didn't feel pretty, and you were being photographed by a famous photographer, and you felt like you didn't deserve her photographic skills. How did you overcome that? Because for you to say that now and admit that, and reflecting back on how you felt then, how did you overcome that, and what advice could you give to people, to other young girls, to overcome those insecurities?
Well, I don't have any answers for anyone. I wish I did. I wish I had a magic potion that I could wave my wand and all women would be relieved of this horrible pressure to conform to a very typical, idea of, what is considered attractive. When you see someone like Kim Kardashian on every magazine front, and as a woman who looks nothing like Kim Kardashian, it's really confusing. It's like, well, I don't have huge knockers, and I don't have a huge bum, and, I haven't fixed my face, and I've got wrinkles, and, that's really difficult for women to navigate, I think. And, it's hard enough for me as a 50-year-old woman to navigate, but when you're young and you're unsure of yourself, and unsure of your power, and unsure of your beauty, and unsure of your own intellect, it's a head fuck. It really is. And I know so many women who suffer like I suffered. And I cannot lie, I still suffer sometimes. It's not like every day I wake up and go, yes, I'm on top of this, I feel fantastic. God, I'm so sexy and hot and wonderful. That doesn't happen every day. But I am happier now that I'm older. And I don't know why. I think I really focused on my career. I started focusing on different things that I could have control over. And I focused on being good at what I do, and that develops confidence and it gives you wings and you can fly. And all of a sudden it doesn't matter what people are telling you that you should or should not be attracted to.